Early in the election cycle, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. threatened to potentially take votes away from President-elect Trump. That is until Kennedy ended his own presidential bid and threw his support behind him. Then, last week, Kennedy was rewarded when Trump tapped him to be America's next Health and Human Services Secretary, a controversial pick given Kennedy's history as a vaccine skeptic and espouser of conspiracy theories. And today, President-elect Trump announced Dr. Mehmet Oz will serve as the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator and work closely with Kennedy. Our Elizabeth Schulze tonight with our prime focus on RFK Jr.
A last name synonymous with American politics, now the controversial nominee for a job leading the nation's public health system.
I nominated him for, I guess, if you like health and if you like people that live a long time, it's the most important position, RFK Jr. Bobby?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is President-elect Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, a move Trump had hinted he would make on the campaign.
I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines.
The announcement marks the culmination of a long political road for Kennedy, from longtime Democrat to independent presidential candidate to a nominee in the Trump cabinet.
He suggested that we join forces as a unity party.
It's an unlikely path for a man whose family has deep roots in the Democratic Party. His uncles, President John F. Kennedy and Senator Ted Kennedy. Kennedy himself, the son of the late Robert F. Kennedy, who was Attorney General, then presidential candidate, when he was assassinated in 1968. Bobby Jr. was just 14 years old at the time. The Junior Kennedy eventually made his name as an environmental justice attorney, known for his work fighting to clean New York's Hudson River in the 1990s. He stirred controversy when he hired a scientist who had just been released from federal prison for smuggling wildlife, causing a board revolt at his organization. But in recent years, he's been in the spotlight as a prominent vaccine skeptic, spreading debunked conspiracy theories, like on this Lex Fridman podcast.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Pushing misinformation became a part of Kennedy's campaign when he launched his own bid for the presidency in April 2023 as a Democratic challenger to President Joe Biden.
I've come here today to announce my candidacy for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States.
Kennedy speaking exclusively with our Linsey Davis about his decision to run.
I felt like my country was being taken away from me. I felt like I wanted my children to grow up with the same pride in our country.
His candidacy raised eyebrows this year when he said he had faced serious health issues, like a dead worm found in his brain. And it turned even more bizarre after Kennedy revealed he left a dead bear in Central Park in 2014, which he discussed in a video posted on his X account.
I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike.
This August, with Kennedy polling in the single digits, he suspended his run, throwing his support behind Trump.
Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Now, Kennedy is in line to take charge of the country's main health agency. The Department of Health and Human Services oversees everything from drug approvals to food recalls to the response to pandemics.
Kennedy would oversee agencies like CDC, FDA, and NIH and have direct impact on public health policy. That includes the nation's vaccination programs, drug approvals, research priorities. This is a $1.7 trillion budget that can have direct impact on the lives of Americans.
Kennedy's nomination sparked immediate alarm in the medical field. Many concerned of how his unsubstantiated claims based on a mischaracterization of science could undermine the mission of agencies he would oversee as secretary.
There's a lot of just stress and apprehension about how this leadership can impact national health policies and overall public health confidence.
Kennedy's views often fly in the face of the science-backed risk-reward calculation of the public health community. He's written books and spoken publicly as part of his anti-vaccine nonprofit Children's Health Defense, spreading misinformation that vaccines cause autism in children. The fraudulent study that sparked that idea decades ago was retracted, and multiple high-quality studies since have found no link between vaccines and autism.
You've said in the past that there is a correlation between vaccines leading to autism. That's totally been debunked.
Wait a minute, who debunked it? There are experts, authorities on one side, and experts and authorities on the other that are saying the exact opposite thing. So no, I don't trust authority. I need to see the details.
Members of Kennedy's own family have distanced themselves from his views.
I would say that our family is united in terms of our support for the public health sector and infrastructure, and has the greatest admiration for the medical profession in our country. And Bobby Kennedy has got a different set of views.
He promotes drinking raw milk for its beneficial enzymes, but raw milk can lead to outbreaks of serious illnesses from microbes that are killed off in the pasteurization process. On COVID-19, he vouched for treatments like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which showed early promise but were later found to be ineffective and even posed increased health risks. Kennedy is also championing a fight against fluoride in drinking systems, making sweeping claims about limited studies that showed a possible association between high exposure and lower IQ in kids, telling NPR,
We don't need fluoride in our water, and it's a very bad way to deliver.
Scientists and a federal judge agree more research is needed, but fluoride isn't known to cause health problems at the low levels currently recommended. And they point to the benefits of fluoride, like strengthening teeth and preventing cavities, especially among low-income youth.
One of the dangerous things about RFK Jr. is that there are bits of things he says that are true, and they're mixed in. And it makes it really hard to sort out what things you should follow because they're based on fact and which things are not.
Some of Kennedy's main priorities do have support, like the causes of rising rates of obesity and chronic health in the U.S., and an examination on chemicals used to grow and manufacture our food.
If we're looking at the school lunch program in America, 30 million children get more than half of their calories from that program. It would be a wonderful thing to make that the best school lunch program possible. Give money to schools so that they have kitchens and can make fresh food. Get the corporations out of the discussion so they're not pushing processed food.
To pursue his agenda, Kennedy is vowing to overhaul one of the biggest government agencies, HHS, with 80,000 employees, even telling NBC News how he would gut certain departments.
In some categories of workers, there are entire departments, like the nutrition departments at FDA, that have to go, that are not doing their job. They're not protecting our kids.
Kennedy's confirmation in the Senate is anything but guaranteed. Some centrist Republicans are already expressing doubt he's too extreme. Maine Senator Susan Collins telling the New York Times, "I find some of his statements to be alarming, but I've never even met with him or sat down with him or heard him speak at length." While conservatives like former Vice President Mike Pence are urging senators to vote no on Kennedy's confirmation because he doesn't support strict abortion bans. Pence saying in a statement RFK would be the most pro-abortion Republican-appointed Secretary of HHS in modern history. Kennedy, a dynasty Democrat who shook up his political career to become a Trump Republican, is now banking on GOP support to win him a seat at the top of the federal government, where he promises a massive shakeup.
Our thanks to Elizabeth Schulze for that.